Oh my God, he had such a banger tweet. Hold on, I want to read this out to you guys. Let me find it. I love the way he over dramatizes some things when he's typing because it's just really funny to me. It's like, I feel like a lot of people do not read the humor in him. This guy is a bored rich person, and he's doing everything he can to try and live as long as he can, or further science in figuring out how we can live longer or live better for longer, right? Which is a great thing. I would love if more like billionaires, multi-millionaires would do like this, because he's funding so much research and doing it on himself of stuff that could help people. Great. Maybe it doesn't come to fruition, whatever. I think this is great. But also he kind of is like a little bit of a character actor in the way he posts about stuff. Like, he absolutely 100% is going through this and being like, what's the funniest way I could present this where people like think I'm a weirdo, but I stay in character, instead of just posting the results and that's it, you know? You could just tell he's like got a team of people that are helping him write these things, or he himself just spends all day like trying to figure out how he wants to write this stuff. I truly think it comes from him and his girlfriend. I think his girlfriend is probably like part of the mind behind all of this in making sure these posts pop off. I want to read to you a tweet he made. I agree with like so much of what he's saying, but he writes it in the most like funnily, like real and fake deranged way ever. Are you ready for this? Other people read this as like just a serious post. I read this as comedy. The context before I read this is he was spending all of his time trying to be the healthiest person ever, and then he found out that he has an autoimmune disease relating to his GI tract. And a whole bunch of, a lot of the reaction I see is people celebrating, people being like, haha, motherfucker, you spent all this time and money on this stuff and look at you who still got a blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, my reaction to it was, oh no, that sucks. Number one, don't wish diseases upon people. Number two, cool, maybe he can like spend a lot of time researching this now because he has the money to do that, you know? 3, what is wrong with people that they're celebrating that? Because what did he do wrong? I would get them celebrating it if he was some horrible person. He's just a guy with money who uses his money to try and fund research, you know? So I was like, what? And I know he's like done some weirdo stuff because he wants to try testing a lot of things, and he's gone for viral marketing approaches like with the blood boy stuff, whatever. But I think like people are so, they'll generalize and they're like, oh yeah, any rich person I will celebrate having an issue, any rich person, when I'm like, this is like one of the least bad rich guys. He's like one of the few that's doing the thing that we hope they would do. This guy's funding health research. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why are people so stupid? You have to reward good behavior, even if a bad person's doing it, or someone who you perceive as bad is doing it. When someone does something good, if you don't like them and you just keep punishing them, you create the Joker every time. You know what I mean? Like you really create the Joker every single time, and people are just the whole point is this means people are just stupid and they're not actually interested in improving the world. They're interested in feeling better, and that's it. Anyway, I want to read his banger tweet because I like the way he presents this, and this just shows me like this guy's impervious to anything anyone says. Are you ready? He says this: the world wants me to die. My incurable disease diagnosis became global news. It was omnipresent on social media, and 1900 articles were written in a matter of days. Many were saddened. However, joy dominated the commentary. People pointed to Schadenfreude, the pleasure of another's failure. Yes, there's that. There's a special place in people's hearts that loves to see others fail, especially when that person's presence threatens their own psychological stability in some way or helps them feel better about themselves. But if you look over the social media commentary about me, you'll see that pattern. He deserved it. It starts, I think he's like right, but it starts to like, I don't know, this starts to get funny to me. Ready? It's like a copy pasta. I really love the way he wrote this. Ready? I deserved it because I challenged death. The crowd was running a deeply rooted psychological script that represents the oldest, most deeply embedded stories of human culture. This was the first story ever written down 4,000 years ago. Gilgamesh sought eternal life after losing someone he loved, only to have the plant of youth stolen by a serpent as he bathed, leaving him to accept his mortality. Asclepius became so skilled at rejuvenation that he raised the dead. As punishment, Zeus struck him down with a thunderbolt to enforce life and death authority. This is the story of Jesus. Pontius Pilate offered a choice between a thief and the immortalist, and the crowd demanded the execution. I was reading this in tears. I was like, this guy has a good point to make, and then he just is like, bro's like, I'm Jesus. It was so funny. People need this story conclusion to keep themselves sane. The challenger must lose, and the loss must appear deserved. It's a shield of self-preservation. For if death is inevitable, their existence and that of their loved ones is justified and unavoidable. If death is not inevitable, nothing about their reality is safe. I occupy the same philosophical and archetypal position as Gilgamesh, Asclepius, and Jesus. That's my favorite sentence, dude. Oh, it's so good. This statement will draw outrage and accusations of blasphemy, hubris, and narcissism. Nevertheless, it's the pattern that has repeated itself for thousands of years. Death has become the omnipresent concern of the human race. It encapsulates our greatest fears, joy, and curiosities. The discourse around it changes over time. However, the fundamentals remain unchanged. What's different about this moment, that is unlike any other moment, is that physical death may no longer be inevitable. What if I didn't deserve it? And what if I am your ally and not a threat? That's the tweet. I love it. Every point he made is correct, but he decided, like, I'm gonna go full Joker mode crazy person. And I love the way this tweet is written, dude. To me, it's so funny. And I think a lot of people are not reading it as humor. They don't get that this guy, like, is entertained by this. It's so funny. What use is social media if you don't post like Sephiroth? Exactly. Archetypical Jesus. Oh my God. This is so good. I love this tweet. I was like, man, this is the best response anyone could have ever had to anything relating to this. Bro has that big old word vocabulary and chose word vomit. None of this is word vomit. Did you, not a lot of this, there weren't a lot of big words in here and none of it was word vomit. What are you saying? I think you just don't read probably. I think he's dead ass, lol. I think it's a mix. I think he's dead ass. I think the points he's making, he's 100% serious about. I think the way he's writing this, he is aware that this is like flaming pen meme and he's aware that people will receive it a certain way and he's doing it anyway because that's funny. That's how I see this. So like it comes from so much of a serious place, but he also knows like it's gonna land a certain way and he's just like, F it, send it. You know what I mean? Like, because he does this all the time. And I've listened to like interviews with him because he's my favorite internet cryptid. And it's just, man, it's funny. Anyway, his new project that I'm really interested in is, he wrote about the first female, Eve. But he was talking about the way he like has tracked every single biomarker of himself for like forever. He's now having his girlfriend, like she wanted to do it for women because she's really focused on women's health. And TLDR of his post here, he's like, hey, for the longest time, women have had a different existence than men, but for the longest time, we have fucking like never tried to figure out any of it. Like, which is true. Women complain all the time that like women's health stuff is not taken seriously and not well studied. And the answer that women get whenever they're having like a women's health problem is almost always like, oh yeah, that happens sometimes, which I dealt with a lot. I had ovarian cancer, okay? And I had so many side effects relating to it, so many other things going with all that, right? And my experience was so many doctors being like, that's crazy. Just take some ibuprofen so you don't feel it. Like, what? You know? Tons of that. Or yeah, oh yeah, people saying, oh, nothing hurts when you do anything to the cervix, so you don't need anesthesia for this procedure. No. I've had so many friends have little procedures done, little things done, and be like, that hurts badly, and I feel like I'm getting stabbed in my organs and blah, 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 right? Etc. So now his project is Kate, his partner. They're going to track like tons of data points. They're going to have her do a series of set up tasks and things to do throughout the day. And she's going to do it for 3 months to track through like 3 menstrual cycles. And they're going to get as much data as they can from this. And I'm like, yes, because I love shit like this because no one's funding it. I think it'd be nice if he would, I think he has the money to, if he would fund this type of testing being done on larger groups of people. He mostly just does this on like himself and just posts his data. I would love to see if they could do this with more people, personally. No perimenopause studies, but I can buy myself 1,000 boner pills online. Yeah, it's true. But that's the point he's making here. But the way he writes it, ready? I love his intro. We know curiously little about the first female, Eve. Never heard from her. No data on her life. Manufactured from man. Was second. Is to blame. Eve is our foundational concept of a woman, yet she is not legible. Why? For 1,400 years, humanity was confused about the planets too. When the ancient Greeks looked up to the sky, they saw some lights, stars, appeared fixed, while other lights, planets, moved erratically. They couldn't understand why. From their vantage point, Mars would stop, reverse, loop backward, and then resume. Planets were bewildering, called wanderers. To Greek physicians, the womb was also perplexing. They taught that the womb moved freely, a restless wanderer inside the body. They looked up the sky and at a woman and concluded the same thing. They are erratic and wandering. And he keeps going. It's just such a funny like prelude to him being like, yep, we're tracking Kate's periods and we are going to collect every data point we possibly can. It's such a preamble. He's over time been doing more and more and more allegorical preambles to his research topics that it's just really funny. I don't know. It's just really funny. They looked at both and went, too hard. I give up. Let's just make stuff up. Yeah. That's what he's saying. He's like, what's the most intelligent way I could try to say this? I know. An allegory about the planets. Sentences AI can't generate. I think that's the thing I like, is that when I read this all sounds human written to me. None of this sounds like it's written by AI. Thank fucking God. You're talking about Bryan Johnson. If he solves endometriosis, we don't get to laugh at him anymore. That's oh, I don't know if that'll happen, solving endo. Well, I think if his girlfriend was found to have endometriosis, if anyone's gonna figure out what the to do about it, it's gonna be this guy. 100% it's gonna be this guy. So while I don't wish endo on anyone, part of me really hopes she has endo and they find it and deal with it, because man, that would be so awesome to have someone with crazy money just deciding to research that. I thought she did. Maybe she does. I don't know. Wait, let me see. Kate Tolo, endometriosis. Oh, she does have it. 4 days ago, posted on his LinkedIn. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait. This is the greatest situation ever. Okay, he posted 4 days ago. Kate was officially diagnosed with endo. Feel sorry for her. That sucks. What is endo? Endometriosis is, you know what the endometrium is? In a woman, your uterus is like a cavity that can hold a baby, right? It's not the outside. It's the inside, actually. And the endometrium is like the inner membranous lining of the uterus, which is like pretty much all mucus. And when a woman has her period, she sheds it, right? When she has her period, now normally it's like thick mucus and it just stays right where it is and it doesn't come out. And then when you have your period, your body goes like, waterworks, and it just takes water from your body and just puts it into that. And that's why it comes out, because now it's like liquid enough to come out. That's all. It's just your water just kind of like sprays itself down. Your endometrium gets power washed out of you, right? Essentially by your body. That's all a woman's period is, right? I mean, it's a lot of other things, but that's the TLDR. So endometriosis is when instead of that just happening on the inside, that tissue starts growing on the outside of the uterus. So on the ovaries, on the fallopian tubes, on the outside of the uterus overall. And because it's misplaced and it's growing in the wrong spot, you start inflaming. Some people get scarring. It causes a lot of pain because, like I said, when your period happens, your body's pumping water into the area. So the reason why women get bloated and they have cramps, whatever, is because all of the local cells in that area during that time, because of hormonal triggers and other things, they all start to retain water. You ever see someone with like really big ankles because they have like a water retention problem? They got huge ankles and they're like, oh, it's so painful, and they can barely walk. That's what's kind of happening in a woman's pelvic area and abdomen when they have their period. The cells are swelling with water, and then some of that water is getting excreted to shed stuff. So if you have endometriosis, it means the cells on the outside that are near those cells are like super swelling with water, and it just hurts so bad. It just hurts. It just hurts. That's all. It's just, and your body's doing normal stuff, and it's just like, let me put some water here so we can do our functions and all that. And your body's doing a nice thing. It means well, but it turns out to be really painful. So endometriosis is like super debilitating because it's happening to a high degree in areas where it shouldn't. And that's kind of the most we know about it. And it's really hard to figure out what's going on because there's a lot of other things that could cause that kind of pain too. And they don't just like have a good way to check for endometriosis, because a lot of the time you have to visually check. You can get like an MRI, but to get an MRI, typically you have to have like 1 billion pelvic exams. You have to have 1 billion doctors finally decide to send you for an ultrasound and then an MRI to like image all the cells so you can see their composition and then be like, oh, the ones on the outside are endo. You know, it like takes years to get to that point. It's really hard to get doctors. Like if you walk up to a doctor and go, I want an MRI of my body, a lot of them will just be like, no, why? No. And they just won't order it for you, which is annoying, really annoying. You could just go to a place and pay for one, but a lot of them, you know, because it's like a whole process, there's radiation, whatever. A lot of them will just kind of not do it unless your GP is ordering it. So, you know, now you're at an impasse sometimes if your GP doesn't want you to have it. But yeah. And then, yeah, a lot of the time they have to visibly do it the same way they do colonoscopies, and they put a camera in you and to see things, because there's just no other way to tell besides looking with the camera. You have to do this in the woman's body as well to figure this out. Not every time, but a lot of the time, if the MRI doesn't really show the cells well enough. But that means you have to cut into them, because there's no way to just get into the body like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not inside the organ, it's on the outside. So you just have to voluntarily get a laparoscopy, which really sucks. Really, really sucks. And you know, no one really wants to like choose that if they can avoid it. So yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So TLDR, Bryan Johnson, internet health and medical cryptid with lots of money, who loves studying all these things and paying to research all this shit. His girlfriend was diagnosed with endo. And he said, for context, average time to diagnose this is 6.6 years. That's crazy. He said, we diagnosed Kate with endometriosis officially through doctors without surgery across imaging, blood, and using AI to analyze some of this data, which is like, I've always said, one of the things I would like to see AI used for more is medical purposes, and it's probably the best use for it. The medical world has been using it to parse data in ways that would take humans way too long, and using it for this has been an amazing boon. And it does not hallucinate stupid word answers. It's just parsing through data, so it actually does work well in that capacity or in that setting. So yeah, it's truly good in the medical field. He said that they did all non-invasive methods to figure out that she had it, and they did it within 42 days. That is really great. And he said, we found 2 other diagnoses at the same time. It affects 15% of women, so it's really gnarly. It's very important to check. He said, men, to get you on the same page, having endo is akin to an alien growing in your guts and balls, self-replicating and gluing everything together, causing you constant pain and discomfort. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because that is the problem with those cells being on the outside of everything, is they do kind of like stick everything together, which is really bad. He said, like most women, her imaging came back clear, even though we now know that she has endo. And this is why diagnosis in general traditionally happens via surgery, because you have to open up and look inside. We wanted to avoid surgery, so we went back to the drawing board. They did an endo-specific ultrasound, an endo blood test, an MRI it was an AI MRI. Okay, and then a saliva test, and it was successful. You know, I heard about that. One of the really, really, really good applications of AI is they've been using it in MRIs, where it looks at MRI images and it can identify issues way sooner than humans. And I saw someone, they showed like an MRI of their breast, okay? Breast imaging. And it detected a spot and was like, this is breast cancer. 5 years before, a doctor looked at the same person's mammogram and then said, that speck there, that is breast cancer. It was able to identify it earlier. And what they did was they had a whole bunch of people where they showed an MRI or some sort of imaging, a mammogram for a lot of them. I think they were mostly doing it with mammograms at one point first, but they were showing, you know, person's image A, which was this year, and then image B, which was that year, many years later. And yeah, AI was able to identify like cancerous bits in people or certain other conditions way earlier than like a human doctor would ever do it. And I look at that and I'm like, that is like really, 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 really good. I'm also afraid that doctors will get complacent and rely on it, leading to fewer hallucinations being caught by doctors. I think in the medical field, it's filled with people that won't just rely on it. But also, like, I'm gonna be honest, if I got a mammogram, okay, and AI saw a speck that they thought might be cancer, and the doctor was like, well, I can confirm it for you if this grows in like 2 years, but you can opt to just take out this tiny bit right now, because the AI thinks it's like 80% chance, high likelihood. I would be like, yeah, take it out. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the procedures are still very elective. And the way doctors are taught to speak to you about your options is they give you percent chances. Like when I was doing all of my cancer, they would say, I think this has this percent chance of being cancer. And then they saw more imaging and more things and more tests. And then go, okay, now I think this has a this percent chance of this, blah, blah, blah. And they would just try to narrow down so that I could make an informed decision. That's just how the medical field works right now. So I imagine that they would just use that to be like, now we have a little more close to certainty, but they're still going to talk to you in likelihoods, you know, and then just like, do you want this or do you not? Honestly. So I'm a fan of having it assist in things like that. Especially, I mean, in her case, in this one case that they did use it for, in like a real case, it was 5 years earlier that they detected it, and they were using it to have the AI check, because the doctor was like, I think this one's cancer, I think. And they were like, well, let's check what this thing thinks on this and all of her old images. And it was like, yep, even this old one, this is it. It looked at the old image first and circled it. And they were like, oh, okay. But yeah, so we'll see. I think applications like that are really good. Because honestly, like what I had to, would have loved to not go through of all the stuff that I went through. If it, you know, I could just get some, honestly, even an ultrasound, and it would just measure stuff and then look at my old data and be like, there's an issue here. Because I don't know if you've seen an ultrasound, like you ever seen one of a baby, that's what you usually see, but a lot of people get like ultrasounds for other medical reasons. When you do an ultrasound, it's just like taking a weird picture of what's going on in a part of your body. And they click on the screen and they measure physically the length of a thing from here to here, right? So like they measured my left ovary, for example, and they click and they're like, the image ends here and here. So from here to here, the length of it is this. This is how big your left ovary is, which was like this dimension by that dimension, length versus width. Okay, that's cool. That's really not that specific though. It's like a rounded oblong thing. It could have a little bump somewhere and it might not show up in that length versus width measurement, you know, like, but if I have a thing that's checking over every image that I've ever had of this same one and comparing them, it might notice that weird anomaly more than a person would, you know? So I think it's a really good thing.